Okay, so the saw is going to cut the wood first. It's going to cut it in 2 parts, and then it's going to come down to the next section where it's going to chop it, right? So this section is going to actually cut it. It's going to hit a photo eye. It's going to cut it. Now I am keeping this in encoder counts, so this is the benefit of having this. It's going to do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to see it cut. Going to go to the pick position. It's going to pick, and this should work properly because now our start button is working properly. So again, this is just part of programming, right? This is part of, hey, you made a mistake, you got to fix it type thing. So we're going to watch these crates go out, watch the crates go in, just like we just did earlier. So the crate should go in. It should actually start the process all over again. So it should go back and pick this second time. Now it's going to pick again, come over here, and then place those in the crates. It'll run the crates out and then keep that process working. So we did essentially fix the actual code in that instance of what we did as well. Alright, in this video we're going to add a push button station to the 20 wood cutting actual machine. Now if you're not familiar with the environment we're working on, again, this is the EasyPLC's machine simulator. Now this comes with a bunch of pre-built machines, something to challenge yourself, something to make you more proficient and better with PLC programming. Again, I use these all the time just to kind of challenge myself if I haven't done anything or have been as active as I once wanted to be. So what I do is I actually program one of these one by one, and I start from scratch, right? I do my OPC, I build everything out, I make it run, and at the end the machine runs. Again, I have many examples of that, but again, when it comes down to it, I like the software because it builds proficiency and being able to be a programmer. Now in this video we're going to edit the machine because some of these machines come with start-stop stations and some of them do not. We're going to add the start-stop station in this video. So this will be the 20 wood cutting. Again, when it comes onto it, I'll start it real quick just to show you there is no start-stop push button station right now. So this is again just gonna start the actual application like it is. We're gonna go into personal mode. I'm gonna use my arrows, and you'll see we're gonna come over here and add the push button station right in this area. You see there's currently nothing. This is an actual gantry. So what it does is it cuts the wood, it comes down, and it cuts the wood again, and then the gantry puts it in the crates. I actually have the PLC code done when it comes down to it. The code is done right here. We're going to actually run that as soon as we add the push button station. But let's come over here and actually go to the editor. So again, they have the pre-built machines. So now we go to editor and we can open one of the pre-built machines. Now how do we do this, right? So we go over to editor and we come over to this point and we open it up and we go to file and then we go to open. Alright, so this is going to be where all your machines are stored. If you wanted to know where this was currently at inside of your actual your computer, then you right click, go to File Explorer, and in File Explorer you go to C drive. C drive, you're going to go to the software, and then right here you'll go to Machine Simulator 3, then you'll go to MS3 bin_data, and then you're going to go to MyMachines, and that's where the machine is actually is, right? Again, you can see this is the 20 wood cutting, and I last edited it on 10/17. So we're gonna pick that one. I just want to show you where you could actually look at that at that point in time. Where all these files are. So we're gonna actually pick that one and we're gonna load it, and we're gonna add the component in from that point. Alright, so this gives you all the elements. Keep in mind on the left hand side over here, this gives you all the elements inside of the edited machine. And over here is just where you edit the properties of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to, and I have the mouse that I currently use has a scroll back and forth. It has the little wheel on the top of the mouse allowing me to scroll back and forth. I can push the mouse, that scroll bar or that scroll down, and go back and forth and go up and down. Okay, so that's how I'm navigating. If you need to navigate differently, like say if you have a different mouse, you can download the actual machine simulator instruction guide, and it will give you the keys that you use to do so. Very simple to do. That's back on the machine simulator page. On the very front home page, there's a help file, or you can merely go to your machine files right here, like we talked about, and I believe it is in the help section right here. This is where it is, the help section, and this is where you can get that file that I'm talking about. Again, I'm using the actual I'm using a mouse with the scrollable key, so our scrollable top, right, so that I'm actually being able to move forward and backwards. Also too, I want to give you another quick tip. What you can do is hold the Alt key down and rotate your mouse back and forth, and you get a different plane of perspective, right? So if I wanted to rotate my mouse back and forth just like that, I can see that, and I'm holding the Alt key down. Okay, that's the way I'm maneuvering that. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead and add, this is the gantry right here, let's go ahead and add our start, stop, push button station to the very front right here where this would be. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to buttons and switches. I'm going to press the press button. I'm going to select that. I'm going to drag it forward just like that. I'm going to click it and just like allow it to place itself wherever it does. Then I'm going to come over here to the position. Make sure you're in the position tab, and that's going to be I'm going to go to the center right here. The center is the height, and then I'm going to put in let's just say 1.4 let's just say 1.42. that would be fine, right? And then what we're going to do too, I want you to notice this adds a element called MS button 61 on the very left hand side. Now that label is done from the description. This is what's going to be used in the computer for the computer to talk back and forth to the actual OPC and have everything working in conjunction, right? So this, make sure this needs to be one word and not any spaces, but you can change this, and I am going to do that. I'm going to call this system start, and I'm going to call it system underscore start, because a computer language does not accept spaces, right? So just keep that in mind. Doesn't matter what computer language you're doing, Java, or you could be doing regular programming, or you could be doing let's just say, for instance, Python, or you could be doing like cryptocurrency, whatever the case may be. Computer languages don't like the spaces with nothing in them, right? So just make sure you use an underscore if you're going to separate them. That's real, and then you'll notice that too over here in the naming, right? So if I name this, see how that's edited, you'll see that. Alright, so another key thing I want to add to is you can add a label, which the label is just for the operator view. So we're going to add the label right here, and let's scroll up so you can see that a little bit better. See the label. Alright, so now let's change this and call this system start. Okay, so now we have a label, and now we have everything edited, right? We have all of our screens, we have the height, or we have everything as far as the start button, where we have the height, right, and everything we want. So what we want to do here is we want to add our input, which this is going to be the section where it ties it into your OPC that you're going to be using. Come up here to your right hand corner, click that, and we're going to click an unassigned input. That's all we're going to do, and then we're going to do an output, unassigned output. Okay, so we use 14 for both of those, so that will be in conjunction with this name called system start. Okay, real simple to understand, but that's what will be used inside of your OPC. Now notice I'm going to add these in standard order so that I'm able to automatically assign these to my OPC, and you'll see that in just a second. Now we talked about that briefly on how to do this, how we've added this so far. Now let's quickly go ahead and add our stop button. So we're going to click this again, add our stop button, come over here, add it up. We're going to pull it up. We're going to compare these two. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the position, which is the first one is 3.26. So I'm going to put this at 3.26. That moved it side to side. The next one I'm going to do, so this is the center one, which is 1.42. So this is going to be, I'm going to change this to 1.25. That's I think 1.1, or let's just say 1.20, which is fine. And then we keep in mind we have our front to back method, so then the very next thing we need to add, and see if we can get that. And let's see if we, there we go, got it. Alright, so this is 5.6, and temporarily let's lower this down just a little bit more so we can grab it. Alright, so this one is 5.4, this one is going to be 5.4 as well, so we can get the 5.40, so we can get the actual height and dimensions corrected. Alright, so keep in mind our position right here. Alright, so the important side to it is the positions are all the same. So this is 3.26, this is 3.26, and the only thing we're going to have is the height difference. That's really the only thing that's going to be different. And in our viewpoint, we're right in line with each other. Okay, so now we need to add, again, this added the button, the label. So we need to add our label. This, we're going to call this system stop. Okay, then we're going to have our label right here. We're going to drop down and have our top label, and then we'll call this system stop. Okay, so now we've added this, and we're going to change the color too. So we're going to change the color from green to red, and we'll go to button color and change that to red. Now we come over here and assign our inputs and outputs just like we just did on the start button. So now we have our start and stop screen, our start and stop buttons right here. You can see those. Now if you wanted to check the dimensions of those, or the width, or make sure they're lined up, hold the Alt key and just scroll over and look at it and make sure they're the right, I guess, forward and back, and make sure they're lined up properly. Alright, so now we're going to grab a panel, and we're going to grab our panel, and then we're going to make sure we drag our panel up and make sure it's in line with the buttons, and we'll click accept on this right now. Now we're going to change, keep in mind the one we're looking for is position. Alright, so we're going to keep this position down to 0, and that, see, that got it a little too far. Let's 0.05. Okay, that got it up a little bit more, and let's take this to 5. Okay, so that was a little too high, and we can change the position up here as well, right? So we can change this position, but keep in mind what you have highlighted. You can also select this over here and change this. We have electrical cabinet, so apparently there's 2 of these. Let's delete that, and the electrical cabinet, let's delete this one as well. I don't even know where that one is. I didn't see it. Oh, it's over there. So I accidentally added one on accident, so that's good. So keep in mind everything that's inside of the screen will be over here. So let's add the second one back in, and as soon as you click on it, it's going to add it. So we're going to come over here, use your mouse to get the width, or the depth. Okay, so we did that. Alright, so let's come over here, get the height of these buttons need to kind of go up. We can change the button height, or we can raise and lower the actual cabinet. I like to raise and lower the cabinet. So personally, what I'm going to do is come over here and put this at 2. 2 is a little bit too far down. Let's do 4. Okay, so that got it a little bit closer. And let's do this one more time. Click the whole thing, and let's do this as a 2.0 or 4.0. Bring that down. Okay, so that got the buttons on there. Let's make sure the sides of it are correct, and the sides of it are correct. So we have our start, stop, push button station, and that is inside of here right now. Now again, we can raise this button up if we want to. Let's do the stop button. Let's actually come over here and get this down just a little bit. Alright, so now we click the start button or stop button, and let's change this to 5. Alright, so that got it a little bit better. And we can change the height of the start button. a little bit as well. So we'll do 5, and then we'll change this to 0, and that was a little too much, so let's do 4. 4, 5 is good, and give it a little bit of depth right here. So that gives us everything. So now we have our start, stop, push button station. We have everything in there. What we're going to do now is click save. All right, so we saved everything. We have our cabinet. Well, we can rename our cabinet name too. So this is cabinet. This will be start, stop, station. All one word. Okay. So now we can easily determine where that's at inside of here if we ever need to edit it again, right? So I'm just showing you a couple tips that I do. All right, so I'm going to save. All right, so now simulate the whole process. Up here there's an arrow, which is your play button. You want to make sure this works. So what you want to do is you want to push the button and make sure the button comes on. Okay, over here on the right hand side, and then push the button over here. Make sure it turns on. Over here on the left hand side, you can turn the light on, which is the output. So all you're doing is making sure your OPC is going to work correctly on this. So I do highly recommend you do test that stuff. Again, so now we're going to exit after we have saved. We're going to then come in and run the actual machine. So we're going to come over here, pick our machines, come down here. We're going to add our 2 topics in our OPC, right? So what we need to do is we need to come over here and go to drivers. I have a pre-configured driver. I've been working on this, and I have already pre-built, but I still need to edit and add my start, our system start on and system stop, and then my start stop light. All right, so let's go ahead and configure those. All right, so we're going to go in here. We're going to add that. Now in my system, I'm going to add the inputs, which is going to be driver digital output, because again it's an OPC. Alright, so let me grab this. Let me understand what I'm actually dealing with here. So first I have my start push button, which I'm calling saw start PB. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to add that into my inputs, paste that in there, accept it. Now the next one is stop, saw stop PB, so I can add that in here, basically paste this again, and then I'm going to change the name to stop PC or PB, and then I'm going to do my output, right, my digital output. My digital outputs for this one are very simple. It's the stop light or start light and stop light. So we'll come over here, we'll add that in here, paste it, accept, paste it again, and then change this to stop. Change the wording to stop instead of start. Stop instead of start. And now we have that in there for is our digital inputs and outputs. Now again, in this one we do have analog as well, so keep that in mind. Now this is going to be the part where you can, when you first start up and set up your OPC, you're going to have to drag and drop these, where you drag and drop these wherever they go. In my what I like to do is I like to add the tags in order, in synchronous order as the way they are. So I can go over here to automatically assign and click automatically assign, and they will properly come in here and add themselves inside of the machine, or inside the OPC setup, the machine simulator of the I/O. Now I'm going to click start and exit the driver. At this point in time, I'm connected to my driver. I can verify that if I go to RS links. So if I just go to RS links, open this up and go to my DDD OPC topics, I can verify that my saw is locked and I do have conductivity. Alright, so let's go ahead and start the system. Let's go over to personal mode and let's walk over to the push button station we just added right here. And we're going to come over here and exit. Okay, so now we're going to push the start button, and you see the light did come on, right? Now everything is starting, so you can see. So let's actually stop that, and you can see we'll keep everything started. Now I'm still working on this code, so keep in mind this is I'm going to show you a better viewpoint of this. This is basically a gantry, and it's going to cut the wood, and then it's going to pick and place that, right? So it's going to come over here, cut this in. It's already cut from a saw in the back. Now it's going to cut again, and what it's going to do is going to come down and pick, and I'll show you this. So it's going to pick right there, and then it's going to come over here and separate and put these in 2 separate crates. Now as it does that, again, then it's going to exit those crates and bring in 2 new crates. Let's back this up again to give you a better view, maybe to see how this is working. Okay, so I still have an issue with, so let's not exit. Let's go into the code real quick and see why our stops aren't working. Let's see why our stops aren't working. So run crates out. Let's see right here. Alright, so let's come over here and let's see, let's do the run crates out. So I'm still working on this code, and you can see now this is in state 8. So let's do that, time that out, and then come over here, run crates out. It should actually, I don't know if I turn this off. Looks like I don't, but I will. So we'll correct that in just a little bit. And we'll fix, I am still currently working on this code, so this is probably why that's not in the proper state. So the start is not on, and that's the problem. This is, as my system is working off of the start button being continuous, and the start button is not continuous. So that's why we're having a problem. I see now. So as you see, I'm having a little back pressure, as you see. So this is the part where you start, again, this is where you build proficiency. So you see I got everything else programmed, I got everything else working, but in the efforts of what I'm doing, I didn't, when I programmed the start stop push button station, I didn't do that correctly, so I need to come back and do that. So we're going to exit this, alright, and we're going to come back and fix the code. But that did show you how to go in and add a start stop push button station. Now again, editing the code, real simple. All I need to do is just come over here and add, let's just go ahead and do that while we're here. All we can do is just add like an active bit to keep everything going. So if I were to do this, I could say something of the nature of, let's just say add this in here, or let's not even add a new rung. Let's go ahead and edit this one, and let's say that this would be latched in, or latch this in, as long as, so we'll latch in the start light. We'll latch in the start light right here, and then if the stop is pressed, we'll unlatch it. We'll do that real simple edit, and then we'll come back, and what we'll do, and instead of this part, instead of using this, we'll come back and we'll change this to the start light, and then let's take this, change it over in our other code for our gantry, because we have 2 different state machines. And I know I haven't described the code, but I will come back and make another video on how I describe the code. But we'll come back and do that as well. So now I no longer need the stop button over here, because the stop is done all in one scenario. So I no longer need the stop button right here, because as long as the start light's on, it will be valid. Now currently, let's reset the whole system. Let's come over here, toggle these. Well, we're going to test this. We're going to test this to make sure that I have everything correctly now. Because again, this is part of, again, the proficiency, the power of this tool that I was talking about so greatly. Because again, like you got to practice what you preach, right? Now, so seriously, come back in here. Now I'm gonna add some other stuff to reset all the code and everything as we get back through this, because again, it's a standard state machine. But when it comes down to it, I want to show you this working. So let's go ahead and do this. So we'll start this up. Go over here. We'll go into our 20 wood cutting machine. We're going to come over here. We're going to add our OPC. Now the thing we didn't add, and sadly we did not do this, is we did not save our OPC. So what we are going to have to do is add those back in. Not a big deal. We're going to grab these and add these back in just like we just did. And let's come over here and grab these on the very top. Sorry for how long this video is, but we are going to do this right. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to the start button and let's add that in, paste it in, add this in, paste this in, saw stop. Okay, so we have that. Now we need our lights for our outputs. Alright, so we'll add our outputs in there. So we'll add the outputs. And you see how quick this is if I'm not explaining it or trying to give as much detail as I can. You can see how quick it is. So you come over here, we'll do an auto assign. It auto assigns everything over. We'll go ahead and we'll actually, at this point, you want to save your driver. So we're going to overwrite and save our driver so we don't have to keep doing that. And then we come over here and start our driver. So now let's come over here and see how the system works. Alright, so let's hit the start button. Everything works. Let's back up and see the saw cutting the wood. Okay, so the saw is going to cut the wood first. It's going to cut it in two parts, and then it's going to come down to the next section where it's going to chop it, right? So this section is going to actually cut it. It's going to hit a photo eye. It's going to cut it. Now I am keeping this in encoder counts, so this is the benefit of having this. It's going to do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to see it cut. Going to go to the pick position. It's going to pick, and this should work properly because now our start button is working properly. So again, this is just part of programming, right? This is part of, hey, you made a mistake, you got to fix it type thing. So we're going to watch these crates go out, watch the crates go in, just like we just did earlier. So the crate should go in. It should actually start the process all over again. So it should go back and pick this second time. Now it's going to pick again. Come over here and then place those in the crates. It'll run the crates out and then keep that process working. So we did essentially fix the actual code in that instance of what we did as well. So with that said, I want to go ahead and conclude this video because we did run a little bit long, and I want to make sure that I added as much value for those that wanted to watch it as possible. So you see that this is properly working. And again, so as we're going through this, I just want to, and you see the wood continues, the process is continuing. So we're going to stop this, exit, and then conclude the video. So hopefully that you found that really helpful. And again, for those looking for the help files, they're right here. Just click on that, it will open up the help file, and then you can see that. So with all that said, hopefully this was helpful and showed you how to add the IO in your start stop station as well. So with that said, we'll see you guys on the next one.